Crusaders, welcome back for week 3 of our journey of the Louisville Loop. This week our journey brings us to Pond Creek Path, which is a lesser known area of the Louisville Loop that starts at Lambourne Boulevard, and you can take it all the way to the Manslick trailhead that's off of Manslick Road. The map shows me that from the Lambourne parking lot to the Manslick parking lot it is about 0.8 miles. Just like other sections of the Louisville Loop, it is paved and wide. There were some nuts on the pavement along the way, so I took a picture of these walnuts and a picture of the tree that they came from. Before you get going too far, make sure you have your buddy with you, your comfortable shoes, your bug spray, sunscreen's probably still necessary as it's still sunny, and your water bottle for sure. A reusable water bottle is the best one to take. You may also remember these teasels from our video last week at Turkey Run. They have a really cool texture, it's really spiky. Might have been something that you felt if you went out and explored there. Or this ironweed was also out at Turkey Run, and it's also here at Pond Creek. And it is also got a rough texture, not quite as soft as you would expect from most flowers like these tick seed flowers that were also there. So those are very popular this time of year here in Kentucky and around the Louisville Loop. But this week I want you to focus more on the sounds of the hike. So I'm going to stop talking and let the videos play out so you can hear the sounds. Hopefully you were able to pick up on some of the sounds of the birds and the bugs and the crunching leaves. Those were all sounds I heard along the way. There's also a sign along the way that gave a little history lesson on the Pond Creek Wet Woods area and what it was historically. So I'll revisit this and summarize it in the lesson guidance for this week. Since this area is historically swampy and it's still next to Pond Creek, there's some flowers like these that really like wet areas to grow in. These, I believe, are woodland sunflowers. There's a sign along the way that tells me that Manslick is about 0.4 miles away, or that's pretty much our halfway mark on this hike. I came out on a couple separate occasions to record some content for you all, and on this particular day it was very warm and sunny and there were lots of clouds. It's always a good idea to check the weather before you come. On this trail, if it has been raining before you come, the trail might be a little wet and muddy, as you'll see in some later pictures that I took. Now I've made it to the Manslick parking area of the hike, and there's similar signs that we saw at the Lambourne Boulevard trailhead, and that will kind of explain the same things as I said before, that this is 0.8 miles from the other parking lot. So it's time for me to turn around and head back to my car. I'm going to have you go ahead and listen to some more sounds along the way. I did go off the trail a little bit here to show you the little area of the Pond Creek that has some water flowing, and I zoomed in on that section to listen in. Back on the trail, I saw some turkey vultures flying over. And there were also leaves starting to fall, so you could hear the crunch of the leaves beneath my feet. My mermaid assistants dropped off a few seashells along the way to show where we had been, and next week we'll talk about dropping off kindness rocks along the way and review those from our last semester lesson about kindness rocks. There really is so much to see along this path. There's a whole other plant called kudzu that's all over these trees along this path. It's an invasive plant that's kind of neat to learn about. It helps prevent erosion, but it's very invasive and hard to control. And as you can see, this is what the path looks like if it's been raining. It does get a little wet and muddy, but there's usually a dry side to the trail that you can take to stay out of the mud. If it has rained right before your trip, you might get to hear the sound of a little waterfall. Or at least the birds and the bees in the background. And I want to thank you guys for joining me again on our trip this week. Back to the car now, so I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.